I'm feeling like it all comes down to this. Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the long-awaited breakdown of Peterbot and Pollo's undisputed generational run 2024 Global Championship win. I'm going to be breaking down every single key moment that the broadcast showed, which paints us the picture of their blowout win. And of course, before we hop into it, I'm using footage uploaded by Pollo himself, so I'll link his channel and Peterbot's below. Show them some love, of course use their creator codes, but if you got some extra V-Bucks after that and respect my breakdown, then please use code reidtheninja too and invest in the channel for more content like this. So if you didn't already know, Peterbot and Pollo were technically contested at the raft with a bunch of people on that left side, but they landed on the right side with no other contesting parties. That meant they were able to get the medallion and that mythic AUG right away with no worries. Although their first big showing of the tournament was in game 1 on the island and they were actually in zone. Peterbot was frying down with that mythic AUG and got a knock on Cheeps. Then to set the tone for the rest of the tournament, in the biggest rivalry in Fortnite, Peterbot drove by shot and eliminated Clicks in match 1. The way he was able to do this is he had that Flowberry Fizz popped, was popping and sliding by, and with that big gatekeeper shot was able to eliminate the weak Clicks. And the even more impressive part is Peterbot was playing this as a solo. Pollo went down with 34 people left, 19 teams, and he played this all the way through as a solo. Not only did he survive for a while, but he was able to pick up even more elims and knocks, killing the likes of Seti right there, as well as getting into zone, taking a little bit of zone damage, and then pushing forward with 2 HP. I then really like what he does right here by boxing up in the cone, going for the reload, but actually dropping the weapon when he realizes he doesn't have the time, getting a knock on Sphinx, and then finally going down to Dukes in 7th place. The amount of placement points he clutched there was crazy, as well as getting the elims with that health was also super impressive. Now we're into match 3, and Thomas HD is walking around. This is the guy that eventually got 2nd place in the tournament, and Peterbot shuts him down from far away on top of a mountain. And you might be like, Reid the Ninja, that's not that impressive, it was just a shot on a weak guy, but if you look at Peterbot and Pollo's positioning on top of this mountain, it goes to show that they could see the entire lobby and get these free kills. For example, he took down Queasy too, just building up those eliminations. Of course, eventually Storm starts pushing them in, and the way they hold this high ground with their sky base is perfect. You can see them at the top here, as well as this team Kovacs and Huddy in the back, and Peterbot and Pollo are able to keep their eyes peeled and wait for this team to come in and eliminate them. And you'll notice they're not even super strongly connected. They're now building in wood, and their bridge goes super far back without any other place where they're connected to a ground or a different structure. And because they are now in wood, they're doing the cone and the floor as opposed to just the cone, so it's less likely to be shot out. They eventually do drop down, and Pollo gets a nice elimination, but I want to point out how much health they both have. It's just impressive that they're able to keep it up for this long, while all the other teams at the bottom were fighting in between themselves and just having that war festering at the bottom while they were kings on height. Of course, as they drop down though, they do take a bunch of damage because they are now in the middle of the fight. And I have to say, as impressive as Peterbot and Pollo have been, and as much as I've been glazing them, they got 1v2'd by Swizzy right here, and it was the best clutch I've seen, especially considering it was against the 2 reigning undisputed champions. Okay, now we're in game 5, and this one is super interesting. So Peterbot and Pollo have just taken the lead by 1 point. And I specifically find this game interesting because they play the entire thing from low ground. Usually we see them just high ground kings, especially with that dash medallion in season 2. It seemed like they had it every single game. So it's not frequently we get to see a low ground performance from them and see a attempted high ground retake this late into the game. And you'll notice how weak they are. Pollo has no shield, is only about half health, and then I realized how impressive it is that they still had this much extra shield and health to re-heal back up. Once I saw they were so low, I thought it was uncharacteristic, but once I saw their inventory and they had the Flowberry Fizz and everything, I understood it. And if you're curious at how they get all these extra meds, it's because they push everyone. You can see that Peterbot already has 5 kills, and then Pollo goes in to get another one. He gets that knock, goes to finish the second guy off, but backs off when he takes a lot of health, and then Peterbot runs in, gets his confirmation, and picks up the Flowberry Fizz off of his body. So just like that, even though they took some damage, they got a free full 100 shield and Flowberry Fizz from that. A lot of the time the broadcast doesn't show Peterbot and Pollo's high ground takes because it gets lost in the interactions, but this time, since it's the final 2, we can clearly see how they do it. They tap the Fizz, build up in zone, and go and push heavy. It is the final 2, so Pollo isn't being super protective, so he just jumps off and hits his shots, knocking Bryce immediately. He did take some damage, but like I said, they got that 100 Flowberry Fizz earlier, so they're able to heal back up for this 2v1 scenario. Although since it is late game, they just tap it once to get that zero gravity effect and go back on the offensive. I also want to draw your focus to how they kept some metal walls for the end game, because when you're running out of mats, you can't spam build if someone's shooting you out, so you need those metal walls. Peterbot hits his shot as Bolts is hopping down and secures them their victory royale. Back on the island in match 6, and Peterbot hits one of his most disgusting clips of the day. He creates a couple tarps and then instantly edits out and boxes Andelix, killing him with that gatekeeper shotgun. And I do want to point out, he gets right on the same tile as this guy. I mean, when you know you're the best player in the world, you can afford to do things like this, but this also is the most competitive lobby with the best across the entire globe. And he still feels confident enough to get on the same tile because his loot is the gatekeeper shotgun, so he knows what that can do in close range. So next time you're second guessing yourself, just remember what loot you have, remember your skill and confidence, and make a decision accordingly. So in continuation of that game, Peterbot and Pollo have a huge lead on the lobby now and are just W-king everyone. They have already killed Cooper and are looking to finish Kanata off in zone, taking pot shots at him while he heals back there. And in a turn of events, Peterbot and Pollo are on low ground again, but they are tearing it up. Yes, they can play high ground super well, but turns out they're low ground kings too. They are just cleaning up eliminations down here, and like I said earlier, it gets them a lot more loot, a lot more shield, a lot more meds, and obviously a lot more points. Agers and Rise are on high ground, and there's one other person left, not including them, so Peterbot and Pollo are trying to flush them out. They see him pickaxing the wall and instantly clean them up. From here you can see Peterbot and Pollo are still healthy, but Agers and Rise actually are healthier and have that advantage. But it doesn't matter because like they did earlier, they tap that fizz and instantly push up. This strategy works super well because it's shocking. You can jump and build so fast when you're moving 2 layers a second instead of just 1 with regular movement speeds. With their gatekeeper shotguns, they do a ton of damage, but also take damage and actually rebox up together, reshield, and drop all the way down. It was cool to see this, that even the great Peterbot and Pollo aren't successful with their high ground retakes all of the time, and actually do need to regroup up and figure out a strategy together. And that's exactly what they do. Storm is still relatively big, so it's not going into heal off or anything, so there's plenty of loot on the ground for them to heal all the way back up or close to 100. And realize that height isn't shooting at them right now. You'd think in a 2v2 scenario with people above you, you'd be getting sprayed at from the top all the time. But Peterbot and Pollo are very strategical in that they're breaking through old builds with multiple layers on top of them, so there isn't a direct line of sight. Yes, it is kind of lucky that Storm pulled back and they were able to do this, but it's a strategy that they have down and a lot of other people don't know about. And they approach their high ground retake exactly the same way. Tap fizz, go up in zone, but this time they're able to build off the old structures that they were using as cover prior. So it truly was the best position to do this retake. But it wasn't perfect. Peterbot obviously knocked one of them and did damage to the other, but Pollo fell back to low ground but had a beautiful shot to finish him off even from a ground layer. But they didn't have the tournament locked up yet because they fell back into second place. Thomas HD and Queasy shot up to first place, hoping to get Thomas that first FNCS win. Peterbot and Pollo also saved a green skull for a rotation in zone 9. That's super good impulse control by both of them because in a lobby like this, you would think you'd want to rotate as safely as possible in zone 7 or 8, but they save it all the way till 9 and are able to get a free rotate which leads into another kill. The game progresses a bit and Thomas HD goes down, but Queasy goes on an absolute tear, getting a lot more placement points and elimination points. And during all of this, Pollo goes down. First versus second are battling it out without their teammates. Peterbot has to get a move on and is peeking Teeny. Queasy is in zone popping a medkit as Peterbot finishes off Teeny, but then Queasy instantly rebuttals with a kill on Rapid. They are both neck and neck getting kills, placement points for their duo. Queasy's running out of mats, getting hit hard, and is focused on Chico and Trulex, but it's actually Peterbot that finishes him off with an amazing edit to get his loot and mats all down into his box. This gives Peterbot the refresh that he needs to continue to go out and win this game. You can tell it is not his first FNCS or his first LAN because he is doing quick edits as soon as he needs to. There is not a hesitation in this man, his mind and body are connected. The second he sees motion beneath him, he's already editing and shooting and picking up another kill. Now it's a 1v1. He has mats. He just got a ton of refreshes. He has loot. He pops that fizz and does the same thing. Rapidly builds up, placing things under him with that fizz and gets the kill for another win. By this point, Peterbot and Pollo have retaken the lead and are just ruining other people's game, primarily Clicks and Venno. I love the beef between these two building up to globals. The idea of if Peterbot, the true true pro who's locked into his craft can be defeated by Clix, the content creator pro that streams everything that he does. It was awesome to see because Clix has that die-hard following from being an entertainer and around for so long. But Peterbot, who might have a smaller following, has the wins, has the achievements, and their communities going back and forth, as well as them personally going back and forth all the way through to the FNCS Global Championship in multiple different games. At this point, Pollo has gone down and Peterbot is left to solo clutch yet again. And I think that was the big difference between Clix and Peterbot as professionals. Clix and Venno were like peanut butter and jelly. They were together all the time, and when one died, the other died. Whereas Peterbot, on the other hand, was able to do these solo clutches, was able to go out and get frags without a duo and just play completely freely. He just got the refresh, so now he knows he has a little bit more mats to build and expand his box, but even beyond that, once he's rotating and engaging in new fights, he is not afraid to waste mats. And I guess for everyone else, it would be wasting mats, but for him, it's using mats. He's so confident that building these boxes will give him the advantage to get another refresh that he's okay with doing that. He knows it's endgame, he knows there's weak players around, and he knows his aggression level, and those things together means he knows he's going to be able to get more kills and more refreshes. And that's exactly what happens. He got that refresh earlier and is now onto the Fizz rotate yet again. But look at how well he makes this tarp. He doesn't look back around until he has a full 2 to 3 boxes. But then look how fast he double edits this. Any other time I'd be convinced to say that he was cheating because of that, but he is on LAN on a global setup being filmed in person. That edit was just ridiculous. This late in the game and everything goes into chaos, you just have to admire how aware this kid is. Seeing Rapid coming from zone, getting that refresh, and although it was stolen from him by Thomas HD on height, he was still able to get the mats from that. And then just being aware of what's going on in height, as well as Booga and Storm and everything else around him. Meanwhile, it looks like Thomas HD is aimbotting, and look at the scoreboard. They are extremely close, and this is game 11. It's crazy that when you get to a global stage like this with these players, their average moves seem like they're cheating, but really they're in person and they can't be. Peterbot picks up the knock and kill on Thomas HD, continuing his clutch. Queasy's on height and gets the kill on Booga, and now it is a 1v1. Queasy hits a big shot on Peterbot, and they are going back and forth, and then Peterbot gets some return damage and is able to clean up that win. Game 11 solo clutch with Pollo dead for half of the game, and if it wasn't Peterbot getting all the way to first place, then Queasy and Thomas HD's performance probably would have rocketed them into first place. But nah, Peter's him. And in game 12, with the tournament on the line, Thomas HD and Queasy ended up not dropping on Peterbot and Pollo. We have seen that strategy in the past where second will drop on first to secure the win. But in this circumstance, they played it out, and Thomas HD and Queasy actually ended up dying during the mid-game, making Peterbot and Pollo your global champions halfway through the match, but they weren't done yet. In endgame with nothing to lose, they bum rush height, trying to take it from the Brazilian duo and doing a ton of damage in the meantime. Pollo makes an attempt for absolute ultimate height, but is blocked out, and both of them decide to drop back down. Again, showing that they don't get it every time, but they at least make the effort. But getting stalled out from height didn't mean they are quitting. Peterbot and Pollo started going on a rampage on middle ground, sandwiching King and getting another elimination and refresh, healing all the way back from the health they lost in that fight and the high ground take. And even though they didn't necessarily forcefully take high ground, when the chaos all settled down, whoever was on height dropped back down and gave it to Peterbot and Pollo. And they are going off 4 eliminations each and still getting more knocks. Although in this one engagement, Peterbot takes a ton of damage while Pollo is still healthy, so they go back up to heal up and split meds. Peterbot gets his health back up, gets shot in the back by the remaining solo in zone as he dies, and it becomes a 2v2. The only thing standing in the way is Truelegs and Chico, and they drop down and absolutely demolish them for the undisputed global championship title. Hype these motherfuckers up, use their creator codes, they deserve it. No glaze, but holy shit, a record on the chapter of second place, and then the 3-peat back-to-back-to-back first places is bonkers. That was over 2 days of competition, 12 games of highlights, 13 hours of footage, all broken down into a 14-minute video. So if you liked it, even though it wasn't my gameplay, that's what this channel is about. Breaking down the best pro moments and my own personal tutorials to help you get better. So maybe one day you'll be like these guys. Invest in the channel for all of that, and please use code reidtheninja2 after using Pete and Pollo's. But if you're inspired now to become the next FNCS Global Champion, then your first step is right now. This is how to rank up as fast as possible this season and hit Unreal. Get inspired. Thanks for watching, and on that note, I am signing off.